The first thing I noticed was the way her hand trembled against the car door, like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. I hadn't even realized someone had gotten into my car until the passenger seat dipped slightly, and by the time I turned my head, she was already there, breathing fast, eyes wide, as if she had just outrun something she couldn't escape. For a split second, my mind froze. This wasn't a prank, this wasn't normal, and yet somehow it didn't feel dangerous. It felt fragile. Like I was witnessing a moment I wasn't supposed to see. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and how a single moment can change someone's life forever, take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Corner. You never know whose story might reach your heart next. I cleared my throat, trying to steady the strange mix of confusion and concern building inside me. She hadn't noticed me yet. Or maybe she had, but she was too overwhelmed to react. Her chest rose and fell quickly, and her fingers clutched the edge of the seat like she was anchoring herself to reality. Outside, the parking lot was ordinary, people walking, cars passing, life continuing without interruption, but inside my car, time felt suspended. I finally spoke, my voice softer than I expected, carrying more curiosity than fear. I made a light-hearted joke, something simple about how I didn't remember ordering a passenger today, trying to ease the tension that had suddenly filled the space. It was instinct, really, humor had always been my way of breaking awkward moments. She turned to me then, and for a heartbeat, everything shifted. Her eyes met mine, startled at first, then slowly softening as my words sank in. The panic in her expression didn't disappear instantly, but it cracked, just enough for something else to shine through. Embarrassment. Relief. Maybe even a hint of disbelief. And then, almost unexpectedly, her cheeks flushed a deep shade of pink, and she looked down, completely speechless. That reaction caught me off guard. I had expected fear, maybe even anger, but not that. Not this quiet, almost humanizing vulnerability that made the situation feel less like a mistake and more like the beginning of something important. She quickly apologized, her voice barely above a whisper, explaining that she thought it was her ride. Same car model, same color, parked in nearly the same spot. It was a simple mistake, one anyone could make, but the way she said it, you could tell it carried more weight than just confusion. There was something else behind it, something she wasn't saying. I nodded, assuring her it was okay, but I didn't ask her to leave right away. Something inside me hesitated. Maybe it was the way her hands still trembled, or the way her eyes darted toward the outside world as if she wasn't ready to face it again. Moments passed in silence, the kind that feels heavier than words. I realized then that whatever she had been running from, or toward, hadn't ended when she stepped into my car. I offered her a moment. Just that. No pressure, no questions. She accepted it without saying much, just sitting there, breathing slowly, trying to gather herself. And as strange as it sounds, it felt right. Like sometimes, people don't need answers or solutions. They just need a pause. Eventually, she began to open up, not all at once, but in small pieces. Enough for me to understand that her day had not been kind to her. That she had been dealing with things that don't show on the surface. Expectations, disappointments, the kind of silent struggles that build up until they overflow in the most unexpected places. And somehow, out of all the cars in that parking lot, she had chosen mine by mistake. Or maybe it wasn't a mistake at all. I found myself listening more than speaking, realizing how rare it is to truly hear someone without interrupting, without judging, without trying to fix everything. Her words weren't dramatic, but they were real. And that made them heavier than anything else. At some point, the tension in her shoulders eased. Her breathing slowed. The trembling in her hands stopped. And then, unexpectedly, she laughed. Not loudly, not dramatically, but softly, like someone rediscovering a feeling they thought they had lost for the day. It was the kind of laugh that doesn't come from humor alone, but from relief. That simple moment changed everything. Because it reminded me how small gestures, like a gentle joke, like patience, like simply being present, can have a bigger impact than we ever realize. Time moved again. The world outside continued. Cars came and went. People walked past without noticing anything unusual. But inside that car, something had shifted quietly, deeply. She eventually gathered herself, thanking me in a way that felt more meaningful than the words themselves. It wasn't just gratitude for the moment, it was gratitude for being seen, even if only briefly. Before she stepped out, she paused, as if wanting to say something more but not finding the right words. Instead, she smiled, a genuine, unguarded smile, and that was enough. And just like that, she was gone. But the story didn't end there. Because I sat in that same spot for a while after she left, thinking about how easily I could have reacted differently. I could have been annoyed, impatient, dismissive. I could have told her to get out immediately, treated it like an inconvenience, and moved on with my day without a second thought. But I didn't. And that small choice, to respond with kindness instead of frustration, turned an ordinary moment into something unforgettable. It made me realize how often we underestimate the power of how we treat strangers. How we assume that small interactions don't matter. But sometimes, they matter more than we'll ever know. Maybe she went home feeling a little lighter. Maybe she faced whatever was waiting for her with a bit more strength. Maybe that moment didn't solve everything, but maybe it helped. And maybe that's enough. If this story touched your heart even a little, don't just scroll away. Take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because stories like these remind us of the kind of world we can create, one small moment at a time. But before you go, I have a special request for you. In the comments, write one small act of kindness you've experienced or given to someone. It doesn't have to be big. Sometimes, the smallest moments leave the deepest impact. Because at the end of the day, life isn't just about the big milestones. It's about the unexpected moments. The quiet connections. The times when a stranger walks into your life, literally or figuratively, and leaves behind something you didn't even realize you needed. That day, I thought I was just sitting in my car, waiting to go somewhere. But instead, I was given a reminder. That kindness doesn't require planning. That connection doesn't need time. And that sometimes, the most meaningful stories begin with a simple mistake. And maybe, just maybe, they're not mistakes at all.